And it shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established on top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. Many nations shall come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountains of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, and we shall walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. This is the Parliament, Center for Kingdom Activity and Advancement. The experience of a lifetime.
So Jesus Christ here began to tell us very clearly that as when you see all these things happening, he say it's near at the door. And what did he say? That generation will not pass away until every word has. That means as this thing started happening to us, if you don't fall sick or they have car accident, you will see Jesus Christ live and direct. It's just trying to, the day and the hour knows no man. This is like what we read at the beginning of the service. Warning. It's near. Tighten up your belt. Brace yourself. Check aspect and dimension you need to reconcile back with God. If you are not saved, or you've been playing with church, or you're not serious with God, it's time to make peace with him. It's time to begin to seek the Lord as never before. Now, that generation will not pass away. You know the amazing thing, I was just studying this thing. A generation, they say it's 50. Some people say it's 170. Some people say it's 100. Some people say it's 120. And the amazing thing, this September, all keyed. Theodore Herzl, Herzl, in 1897 had the first Zion Congress. He was to have it in Munich. The Jews were all antagonistic, so he took it to Basel in Switzerland. And they had that meeting on the let me get the date, 1987 to the date. To this date, if you check that word, Theodore Herzl, 1897, he had that meeting to the date. This September, exactly 120 years. If you say that's your own generation. You say, no, my generation is 100. You're fine. 1917, Otto Bradford signed the declaration that the land of the Palestinians should be given to the Jews 100 years today. If you say no, it's 70. 1947 2nd November or something like that, the declaration of partitioning of Israel as a nation was signed. If you said, okay, 1967 to date, they had access and partitioned Jerusalem. Every of that key, 50 years, 70, 100, 120. Check these dates on internet. Every one coincides with whatever definition you call generation. Whatever definition you call generation, September hits it. 1897, 1917, 1967, and 1968, 67. All corresponds and falls into that date. Now, in Revelation chapter 12, we saw this constellation called Virgo, which represents the woman. Then we saw the crown called Leo, the constellation called Leo, that has 9 stars. And you know Virgo is the first of all stars. Leo is the last. And Leo has 9 stars. And they are what we call wandering planets. This is Mercury, it's Mars, and it's Venus. They all come and form 9 from Leo, and the other 3 making 12 on top of the constellation called Virgo. And the moon in our constellation is under her feet, and the sun shine through. All these stars and these planetary bodies aligned themselves perfectly as I described on the day called September 23rd, 2017.